I used to think people stayed stuck in their fitness journey because they didn't have the right plan. But after working with thousands of men and women, especially in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, I realized this: you don't need a perfect plan to see results. You need to stick to the one that actually works for you. And today I want to share how to find the right plan that works for you so you could actually start seeing results. Here's a stat that will blow your mind. The average American tries 126 diets in their lifetime. Not because none of them worked, but because they couldn't stick to any of them long enough to see them work. If you hear anyone say, this is the number one diet, the number one workout, the number one supplement, you need to run the other way, because every single diet on the planet works. Why? Because they all do the same thing. They put you in a calorie deficit. How does keto work? Keto works because when you don't eat carbs, you eat less calories. How does intermittent fasting work? Intermittent fasting works because if you eat within a specific eating window, you eat less meals throughout the day, which leads you to eat less calories. How does calorie counting and macros work? When you actually track your macros, you eat less portion sizes. They all technically work. But the problem isn't the diet or the plan. The problem is sustainability. Can you actually stick with it? So here's the real question you have to ask before starting any diet. Can you follow this diet for the next 10 years of your life? If the answer is no, then it's not a real solution for you. I don't care how optimal the workout split is. If you can't actually stick to it and follow it long term, it ain't gonna work for you. Cool, there might be a lot of buzz around this workout or this diet, but it's just a short-term dopamine hit, and that's what most people are chasing: dopamine spikes. The next new thing, the next new diet, the next big trend. And the second that it gets boring, they quit and they start something else. They look for the next shiny plan. Every time you hit a plateau or you hit resistance in your life or in fitness, instead of digging deeper, you run the other way. As a society, we just hate boring things, and we label boring as a bad thing. We get new iPhones every 2 years. We get a new car every 3 years. People even get bored of their spouses nowadays. Boring is not a red flag. Boring means that you're finally being consistent. So when I feel like, I'm bored with my workouts or I'm bored with my diet, I remind myself, boring just means I'm consistent. I'm sticking with this thing. And if you want to be fitter than 99% of people, you need to embrace boring. Because most people, when they hit boring in their fitness journey, they switch plans or they switch routines. Tracking your food is boring. Lifting weights is boring. Going to bed at the same time every single day is boring. Going outside and walking and doing your 10,000 steps is boring. But guess what? You keep going anyways. It's not the fancy stuff that leads to the changes you want to see in your body. It's actually the boring stuff. And in business, there's a phrase that I love, and it goes like this: fancy fails, simple scales. And so what that means is, the fancier you try to get, the more shortcuts you try to take in life, the less likely you're going to be to see success. But when you choose the simple route, the straight through route, and you do it consistently long term, that is what's gonna scale, and that's what's gonna give you the best results in your life. And if you've ever thought to yourself, I just need the perfect diet to get this right, here's the truth. Following through on a bad diet will get you better results than quitting a perfect one. Perfect execution of an average plan is much better than average execution of a perfect plan. Consistency beats perfection every day of the week. What that means is your conditions, your situation doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can keep showing up day after day, you will see progress and you will see results. I also believe this. I also believe that messy action beats inaction. So many times in life, we wait for our conditions to line up. We wait for things to be perfect. And oftentimes your perfect timing never comes. And something I believe deep down to my core is that tomorrow is never promised. So if I set out a goal, I'm gonna start this thing in a month. I'm gonna start this business in 2 months. I'm gonna start my fitness plan in the next 2 months when things chill out with work. When you think that way, you're predicting what's gonna happen in the future. I cannot predict what's gonna happen in the future, and neither can you. So if you have something that's important for you to chase, why not chase it today? Because messy action beats inaction every time. And the reason why that is because if I take action on something and I do it, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect, what do I get? I get feedback and I learn. So maybe I do try a new diet, I do try to track my macros, and it's a bad time in my life. As I track my macros and I'm like, I sucked at that. Well, at the very least, I gained feedback. I gained more knowledge and information about myself and what not to do next time. You also need to stop waiting for your wake-up call. Most people don't change until it's almost too late. They wait for the wake-up call. They wait for the bad doctor's report. They wait to take a photo that stops them in their tracks, a moment that forces them to face the truth. But by then, it's no longer about fat loss, it's just about survival. And it might be too late. Stop waiting for permission to change. You don't need your spouse, your doctor, or your best friend to give you the push to change. You need conviction. What even is conviction? Conviction means believing in something so deeply that you don't need external applause or validation. It means showing up even when no one else is watching, because odds are you probably don't have a ton of people in your life that support your fitness journey, because most people in our lives are not living this way. And so that's why you might have to embrace some loneliness, and that's okay. Loneliness is a part of your success journey. And the more success you see in your life, sometimes the lonelier you get. And you have to find peace with that. You're not doing this for them, you're doing this for you because you believe this is what you're called to do. Conviction also means not caring what others think of your journey. So if someone judges you because you weigh your food on a food scale, or someone mocks you because you go to a restaurant and you have specific modifications, or they make fun of you because you go to the gym on a Friday night instead of going out to the bar, that's not about you, that's about them. And here's the secret. The people who transform their lives aren't the most educated or the most motivated. They're the most convicted. They're the ones who believe in what they're doing and they don't care what other people think. When I was 18 years old, I actually hit rock bottom in my life. I got arrested for a drug possession charge. And this left me feeling lost and hopeless. I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself at this point. And I realized I had two options. Either I could stay stuck and play the victim card and slowly self-destruct, or I could make the hardest investment I could ever make for myself, which is the decision to change. That's when I surrendered my life to God and found true freedom. And praise God, I've been sober for 13 years since that point, but I felt like I had to rebuild my life from scratch at that point. And I didn't have a ton of money at the time, but something I did was I started pouring everything into my own personal development and growth. So I got gym memberships, I started reading books, I started listening to podcasts, I started investing into mentors and coaches, whatever I could do at the time. And it wasn't comfortable, but I knew it was worth it, because that decision didn't just transform my body, it literally saved my life when I finally reached out for help. And when I look back at my life and I realized how far I've come, I realized it's because I didn't do it on my own. And here's what most people don't understand when it comes to actually investing into themselves, not just financially, but their time and their effort and energy. Now, investing in yourself can feel super uncomfortable. And when you feel uncomfortable, a lot of times that's a sign of growth. But the thing that helped me was understanding that there's a difference between price and cost. So price is what you pay today, and cost is what you keep paying if you don't fix this. So one of the things that helped me change in this moment of rock bottom was I realized what the cost would be if I didn't make the changes in my life now. So maybe for you, the cost of not changing in your fitness journey could be wearing clothes that you absolutely hate to wear, not having energy to play with your kids, another year of missing memories to go on family vacations because you're not comfortable to go on them. It might even be being in pain when you walk up the stairs or getting winded just tying your shoes. Not changing right now costs you more than the price of change today ever will. Most people wait to make a change until it's too late because they don't count the true cost of not changing. Because the older you get, the harder it gets. And the more you wait, the more challenging it could be to change. And one day you'll wish you had started today. You can make the decision. Either it's one day or day one. And one of the things that's gonna help you change your life right now is your environment. Your environment shapes your results more than motivation ever will. You are heavily influenced by the 5 people that you compare yourself to, more than the 5 people you spend the most time with. So a lot of us think, oh, it's the people we spend the most time with, but the reality is the people you spend the most time with are your family and people at work. And so a better way to compare this is the 5 people that you compare yourself to the most. So that's why it's so important to surround yourself and be in a room with people who make you better, that leads to your own personal growth. Now, you might have to make some hard decisions for this. You might have to set some boundaries with people. You might have to get uncomfortable and get into rooms that you've never been in before. But by surrounding yourself with better people, it can make achieving your goals significantly easier, and it will also help you get your goals much faster. If everyone around you normalizes being tired, being in pain, and giving up and making excuses, guess what you're gonna do? The same thing. You'll say things like, maybe this is just how it is at my age. But the truth is, it's not. You need people around you who talk about growth, who wanna go to the gym, who wanna fuel their body and not punish it. And if you don't have that yet, the first step is to become that person. And you will then attract those people. Be your own proof. Because once you raise the standard for yourself, everything changes. And if you've had these people in your life for a long time that hold you back, you probably have a lot of their beliefs as well. The truth is, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're just distracted. You have too many apps, too many opinions, too much noise in your life. You've been stuck in All Start Monday mode for years. But here's the reality. You don't need a new plan. You need to follow a simple one consistently. I'm talking about lifting the weights, eating the protein, getting the steps in, sleeping right, waking up at the same time every day. The things you deem as boring are the very things you need to execute on every single day. That's the magic. And remember this, a focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius ever will. It doesn't take talent or gifting in order for you to accomplish your goals. It just takes an immense amount of focus that you've never given before. You don't need more knowledge. You already know exactly what you need to do. You need fewer distractions and more execution. And something that I've had to learn the hard way is you don't have to have it all figured out to take action. You can take action despite knowing if you're doing the right thing, because as you start to move forward, you're gonna gain that feedback and knowledge on what to do and what not to do. But the longer you wait to start, the harder it becomes. Don't wait for your rock bottom moment to get serious. You deserve to feel strong, confident, and alive. Not tomorrow, but today. You're also worth changing for, and you can do this thing. And the reason why most things that you've tried in the past haven't worked for you is because you just haven't done it long enough. And the real secret to set yourself apart from the 99% is to keep going the moment the 99% feel like quitting. That's when you become the 1%. You become the 1% when you push past the limits and you go into the unknown that most people are not willing to step into.